You are now live with Dylan Kimberlin.
Good afternoon. You are live with Dylan Kimberlin. I'm currently sitting here with arguably two of the most important people within the Australian pickleball scene. If you're currently sitting here wondering who these two people are, shame on you. They're heavily involved within the rules and officiating of the sport that we play with. I've got Margot Tredinnick, just found out I've been pronouncing her name wrong this whole time.
Still not quite right.
Yeah, and David J. Now, what's the actual body that you both sort of represent?
We represent the PAA.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're the officiating team.
Yeah, cool. And that's Pickleball Association Australia. Essentially the bigwigs in the Australian scene for all of the important stuff that, I guess it's all the behind the scenes work within pickleball. I think that's fair to say. Hey, just give us a brief introduction, like we'll start with you, Margaret, and then we'll go across to you, David. Where you sort of picked up pickleball and why you got into this sort of space, I suppose, within the scene.
Well, I retired at the end of 2017 in the November. January I saw a 7:30 report about pickleball. I used to be a tennis player. I go, that's what I want to play. It was looking like bowls or something, croquet or something, so because I can't do the tennis anymore. So I looked it up. Here it is in Noosa, Heath Bing, everybody knows him. Zoomed down there the next day, and that was January 2018.
Yeah, right.
And haven't sort of stopped playing since. The officiating side of it, I guess in March 2021, we had the year of COVID, no anything happening. Sandra in New South Wales was organising a referee course for the first New South Wales Open that they had in 2021, and she wanted lots of referees, so I attended via Zoom that course. And then,
Yeah, here we are.
here we are.
Yeah, fantastic.
Pretty much, yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah, okay. And what about yourself?
So, I started pickleball because my wife started pickleball on a ship.
Yeah, okay.
Coming from Honolulu to Australia, and she played pickleball every morning. And unfortunately, I didn't have sand shoes, so I had to sleep in instead. But when we got back to Australia, she played, and I play. I only play social I only on Sundays and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Where does officiating come in? I got a phone call walking on a cliff one day where, could you give us a bit of a hand, where we hear you know something about refereeing. For those who don't know, I used to be an international rugby league referee. I wrote the course for developing referees and referees coaches, and that's essentially a lot of the principles of what we've done here in building a course and an accreditation program to get people on. So to be frank, it's been Margot and I, and now we've got a whole lot of courses, and we're trying to get it across the country.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, you need referees in major tournaments.
Yeah. And I agree with that entirely. So for those watching, we are currently at Morayfield, where I base my club out of, and we've got 20 odd people coming tonight, by the sounds of it, all coming down to learn the rules and this wonderful side of the sport that I think is really underrated, and you've nailed it. It's so essential. Without it, sport tournaments can't, go on.
No.
So basically, I haven't really given a rundown of what this particular video is. So I'll be doing a series once a month. I'll be interviewing people across the whole space, essentially from like the official side of things, from tournament directors to players to people that you probably don't know about that are behind the scenes. But it's just a good way for everyone to sort of have a chat about what they do and how you can get involved if you're interested at home. So we'll go into that note. So we obviously have 20 new people coming tonight, but let's say we have someone watching that's like, oh, this is something I would like to learn. Maybe I'm working on a club or a playing group and one of us should know the rules. How would you recommend getting in contact with you guys for potential future courses?
See, that's actually one of the most significant things that you said, because one of the biggest problems that we actually have in clubland now is people learn off somebody else. and they've learnt off somebody else that actually doesn't know the
Yeah.
rules, and that becomes the rule.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, so they end up in a tournament, and they go, but I've always played this
Yeah.
way. So look, it really is important that people, at least in all clubs, have somebody that is the knowledge of the rules. And so we've developed this program. The easiest way is to get in touch with Margot because she's got it all nailed, and
Yeah,
it's
just the old handball there. Yeah.
absolutely. but
Pass the buck.
it's through the Pickleball Australia website
Yeah.
or straight to Margot, and we have a series of courses. The one the guys are doing and girls are doing tonight is the level one. It's the intro course. It's the foundation course. It's the one that deals with the main rules. To be blunt, all clubs should send someone to that.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that will get it. You know, there are so many people, and you watch them, and you just go, yeah, but he told me, or she told me, and you go, yeah, but she or he is wrong.
Yeah, I refer to it as Monopoly in-house rules. We all play Monopoly differently. I think that's similar to theirs. So
People make it up all the time.
Yeah.
Things up.
And look, in social play, it probably doesn't really matter. It's a bit like, you know, in all sports, you know, you have your own rule. But the problem becomes if they do join tournament play,
Yeah.
because that's when they come unstuck. And habits that you got into are exceptionally hard to break.
yeah, that's a good point. And just clarifying for the viewers at home, we in Australia we follow the USAPA rulebook. Is that correct?
We follow the international rule book,
Okay.
which is essentially the USA and the Canada
Okay.
rule book.
And there you go. So if you're watching at home, that's probably a good thing if you're going to get into a tournament for the first time. Either obviously jump in and do one of these courses, or at least have a general idea of the rules. Unfortunately, there's so many people that do illegal serves. We were just discussing clothing, which we'll get into in a little bit. There's certain clothes you can't wear. Just a lot of things that people wouldn't realise. So we'll get stuck into, I guess, new rules. So if you're currently watching and you're someone who has played in tournaments, there are multiple, I guess, big rule changes this year that you need to be aware of because these guys will ping you for it. Did we want to go over those?
Yeah, sure. Like, so, do you want to say?
No,
Or do
you
you
go.
want me?
You go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, the spin serve has now been made illegal.
Okay.
So that means you cannot intentionally put a spin on the ball
Yep.
before you serve.
And that's with your non-paddle head, correct?
We didn't want
Yeah.
paddling. So if you are risking the ball,
Yeah.
that will be illegal. And they're obvious. There are people that do it and they do it very well. For whatever reason, that's been put out of play. The big significant change, though, which I think is actually good for the referees, to be frank, and good with the referees dealing with players, is those questionable serves that you were talking about. There is a rule this year which allows referees to call a replay,
Okay.
and it is on the basis that the referee is, shall we say, unsure whether it was illegal. What that allows the referee to do is actually say, looking at your serve, I am unsure whether the paddle height was above your wrist. I think it is,
Yeah.
but I will give you the benefit for a replay. And if we go back to the overarching rules of pickleball, it talks about benefit of the doubt and cooperation and courtesy. So really it's an extension of that, and it's actually good. Now, you're probably only going to get one benefit of the doubt in a game, so if you try the same sort of serve again, you have been warned.
And I guess that's really important. We touched on it at the start. Having someone within your club or group that knows the rules, because we talked about bad habits. I think, in my opinion, serving is one of the worst habits you can learn because everyone just assumes, especially if you're ex-tennis or ex-squash, you're like, oh, you know, I can just whop it horizontally, and then you go to a tournament and you get told off. So this is definitely something that I think if you find that you might know someone within your club that's borderline doing illegal serves, probably best to have a chat with them, especially if they intend to get within the tournament scene. So is there any other rule changes within the service besides the spin?
Only in terms of the wrong score called.
Okay.
So if a player believes, whether it be the other team calls it without a refereed match or if it's a refereed match, now the call is for 2023. If you believe the wrong score is called, you don't return the ball and you query then.
Yeah.
The question about that, though, it's probably not the smartest thing to do, because if you are wrong, you lose the point.
Okay.
Whereas you actually can play out the point and then query it at the end. You're no worse off if you've actually lost the point, you're no worse off anyway. And if you've actually won the point and you got the score right in what you thought it was, well, you end up getting it corrected twice.
Yeah.
So, it's our recommendation would be, as it has always been, wait till it's finished,
Yeah.
then query it. Because you just run the risk. Why take the high risk strategy?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because how often do we see people who are like, no, that's the wrong score. Just play it out, guys, and then query it afterwards. That's definitely a recommendation. Any other
Equipment timeouts now.
Okay.
In the past, you had to use one of your timeouts.
Okay.
You can use, the referee will call an equipment timeout, so if there's something wrong with your paddle or etc.
Yeah.
So you need it fixed, you can have a timeout. You talked about apparel before.
Yeah.
So and this isn't something that referees have to enforce at all. This is a tournament director's responsibility, but they have put in the a new rule this year about apparel. So, for example, if you are using one of the Onyx balls that sort of on the picture on the screen,
Yeah.
Which is yellow,
Yeah.
and you wear a bright yellow top, you are probably going to be told to change.
Okay.
We use the orange balls and you're wearing an orange top, you are probably going to get told to change.
And that's really good to know, guys. If you are in the process of potentially getting club t-shirts, which I know Emily and I are doing that for Morayfield currently, probably best to avoid those colours.
Well, it's just there's a lot of different coloured balls, so
True. So, but definitely something to keep in mind, because as we mentioned, it is a tournament director ruling. However, I think it's fair to say if you are wearing a bright lime green or yellow shirt, you're going to get called on it, because it is hard to see them too.
Yeah.
It's the obvious. It's about
Just fair
does
play.
the ball? You look at cricket, right?
Yeah.
Cricket players using the white ball don't wear white.
Yeah. There you go. Straightforward. All right. We do have a course to go straight after this. I'm trying to get through.
Yeah.
Is there anything else rules-wise that?
No, that really covers it. The only other one is, of course, if you say, the question about am I in the right position, am I the correct server? Just a general question now will get you the answer of a whole lot, which is good.
Yeah, okay. So for players that stack, or players that don't know what stacking is, and you wonder why are my opposition standing in weird places on the court, you can definitely have a chat to them, to the officials of the game. All right. The last thing I want to touch on, so we're going to go for new players, all right? Let's say it's your first tournament, you've never played one before, and you have a partner that's never played in a tournament, and all of a sudden you've got some person standing next to the net refereeing your game. Any recommendations for a new player that, like, what is this person, what are they doing, how do I play with a referee? And what to expect from a referee, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the referee will introduce themselves before the game always and talk to people about how the game's going to be run. They will remind the players what their responsibilities are. So, for example, line calling is other than the non-volley zone, is still the responsibility of the players.
Okay.
So some people come in their first tournament thinking the referee's going to call that, and they wonder why they didn't.
Yeah.
But it's the responsibility of the player. Now, with a referee game, of course, you can query that and the referee can make a call. But if there's no query, the referee will stick with the call that there is.
Yeah.
The other thing is players don't have to call the score anymore, so they don't have to remember the score themselves. The referee will have it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, of course, they just need to wait for the referee to call the score before they serve. But it's just like any other game. Just play the game.
Yeah.
Go out there and enjoy it. To be quite frank, if you go out and enjoy it, you'll have a fun time, and the referee will just meld into the background. And the reality of why a referee is important on a game, to be quite frank, is it just calms it.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen people that probably at the time think there's a gold bar at the end of the tournament, and they probably get a little excited.
Yeah.
A referee generally brings calmness to the situation.
And they just manage the game. They, facilitate the timeouts, the end changes, picking if there's the wrong server or wrong receiver. They're just there to manage
And
the game.
I guess it's possible to have multiple referees in a game, correct? Like you'll have your main and then your line callers as well. Do you want to give a bit of a rundown?
We're flat out getting referees.
Yeah.
So I know in New South Wales they have used the line judges. I think we're really just trying to manage referees.
Yeah.
And we have used non-volley zone judges if we haven't got enough referees. But
And all those people do is just talk about the kitchen, I'm guessing? Or?
yeah, the non-volley zone just is watching the feet when
Yeah.
you're up at the and calling, because you do see that happen, especially in tournaments and that, and people get upset about
definitely
that.
some players
And
at home.
if we don't have enough referees for all of the games, then that's an option. But yeah, I think just mainly we just
It'll be great to have, and in time it will.
it will happen.
But we are on a journey,
yeah.
Yeah.
and the
Makes
main
sense.
part at this stage is to get referees actually to get there.
Yep.
You know, even in tournaments, you won't have referees on all games.
Yep.
You will generally have them on all medal matches or
Yeah.
playoff matches, but you know it's a journey. And as we say, there's 20 more people coming tonight, so let's hope we get them all through and they pass their exam, and we've at least got 20 more on the sheet.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome, guys. We do have to run off into the
Yeah.
next course. What I will do is all of the rules that we've talked about, as well as contact details for you guys, I'll put them on the video as
Please
well.
do.
So if you're interested, just have a look on the description. But thank you so much, and
Thanks, Dylan.
we'll get stuck into this course.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did it.